Welcome to Hornbill TV's Explainer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Almuli. How do you say extortionist in your dialect? In Lotha, we call them retso reyi. It literally means someone who tears something out of your hands by force or threat. Someone who steals using force to take possession of your belongings, things that doesn't belong to them. It is believed that the Lotha word retso reyi or extortionist is a new and modern Lotha term. Although the meaning of retso reyi is similar to that of robbery, robbers or thieves and theft, it is used exclusively and specifically to refer only to the action of a member of Naga nationalist organizations who extract economic benefits from people by employing force or threat. Meaning, retso reyi is a new word that originated and started gaining popularity only during the 80s in Nagaland, when extortion began its journey to becoming the disease we know today, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone else, any other individual or a civilian or a thief takes something from you by force, they are never called retso reyi. In fact, we already have a word for thieves and robbers. They are called efi, someone who steals, or efizoi, someone whose livelihood is stealing. So that's why it is understood that the word retso reyi has been around for only about 50 years or so. The meaning refers exclusively only to the pathetic act of extortion. Extortion in its form as we know today was not a common occurrence in Nagaland, ladies and gentlemen. Even during my father's time, it was never heard about. Extortion in Nagaland has become this sad, utterly disgusting, pathetic phenomenon that is hindering the people's economy, the people's businesses, and the people's welfare from progressing. Extortion is today a small and medium cottage industry in Nagaland, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we should start applying for subsidies now. On October 17, representatives from approximately 100 civil organizations in Dimapur iterated the slogan, "One government, one tax." For those of you who came in late, "One government, one tax" is a slogan that was adopted by the community organizations of Dimapur in October 2013 as a mission objective to combat extortion and illegal taxation by state, community, and or underground organizations. The movement was started by the Dimapur-based tribal and public organizations led by the then ACOUT, including the business community. The October 2013 public rally is perhaps the most vivid reflection of public anger after the decades of this criminal activity that we know today as extortion. It was also a reflection of the people's anger at the failure of the Nagaland state authorities in standing up for the people of Nagaland. Everyone is affected by it, directly or indirectly, even most politicians, to be fair, even politicians, some politicians. And I'm sure that you have heard about politicians getting demand notes, so-called demand notes for commissions for this, commissions for contracts, commissions for road projects. So they're also victims of extortion, and of course public representatives are suffering, and let's not forget contractors do. They are affected by this disease that we know today as extortion, I believe. And it's not just common citizens and small businesses and members of the business community in general. Politicians, government employees, government departments, they are all suffering, they are all affected by this. Now, this is the only difference, ladies and gentlemen. Government leaders generally, maybe not all of them, but generally, government leaders can afford it. They can afford to pay. Common citizens, small businesses, and the ordinary man cannot afford extortion. The people of Nagaland continue to cry out to the Nagaland authorities to intervene, do something, help, and do something about it, eradicate it with an iron hand. But you have no time for iron hands if your hands are wearing velvet gloves, ladies and gentlemen. So the cry for one government, one tax continues for the people of Nagaland. Back to the October 17 meeting in Dimapur, members of the Vigilance Committee and the civil society organizations present there, and these were mostly from Dimapur, they met at the Naga Council office. So the representatives from Dimapur-based organizations besides union and other like-kind associations and leaderships from non-Naga communities representing a total of about 100 civil society organizations met at the Naga Council's office there. So during the meeting, the leaders spoke about the grievances of the people with particular reference to illegal taxation and extortion by the numerous Naga groups and organizations. Of course, they also talk about other issues, the increasing prices of essential commodities, the influx of illegal immigrants into the state, commercial syndicate systems in the market, our poor infrastructure, drug abuse, a lot of other issues. But the specific point of reference for the discussions to be conducted was the question of illegal taxation and extortion. So the leaders of the communities unanimously agreed on a number of resolutions here, ladies and gentlemen. They decided to serve a memorandum to the government of India to settle the Naga political issue early. We'll be getting back and linking some of the points that we'll be talking about here to this particular resolution, the Naga political issue. Then the organizations unanimously iterated the mission objective of one government, one tax. And then the organizations decided that illegal collection of any form in any illegal taxation or donation by any organization would be dealt with strictly. So that was the third resolution that the organizations in meeting at the Naga Council meeting took. And then they resolved that all the Dimapur-based tribal bodies shall debut volunteers to the Vigilance Committee as and when required to confront the menace of extortion and drug abuse, besides assisting the law enforcement agencies. So the whole idea was that now I think the disease of extortion in Nagaland, or at least in Dimapur, the commercial hub of the state, is affected. It has been affected to a point where the businesses cannot function, civilians cannot just go about their livelihood just like that. So we are going to do this our way, which looking at it from the perspective of administration, I think which is a sad thing, because it's not the duty of the community to be engaging in these issues at this level. But again, looking at it from the point of a citizen, I would say this is something that was expected. If someone is not going to step in for the people, it is the people that will start stepping in for themselves. I do not have to explain the frustration we all feel whenever we talk about extortion in Nagaland, that our authorities are no longer there for the people and that the people have to stand up for themselves, says how far our Christian Nagaland has fallen, ladies and gentlemen. In September 2021, the Nagaland government appealed to the Confederation of Nagaland Chamber of Commerce and Industry to reconsider its call for a statewide closure of all shops and business establishments, and that was scheduled to be called on September 16th. Then the group had declared a total strike to protest the rampant multiple illegal taxation by the Naga political groups, and of course by the government agencies too and community organizations too. It is not a secret, it's always the same thing. All words, a lot of clicking tongues and sympathetic noises, but we never really see any action. Anyway, following this event, the Dimapur police authorities set up what they call a district action plan to fight extortion and illegal taxation, and then kidnapping for ransom and other criminal activities. It was during a press conference then. The police commissioner Rotinhu Tetso, did I get that name right? Rotinhu Tetso said extortion and illegal taxation accounted for about 13% of the total number of criminal cases that was registered since January 1st, 2020. It is extremely interesting that a police official said all these activities, particularly extortion, were due to the unauthorized presence of many Naga underground factions and groups, the ongoing ceasefire and the peace talks between the central government and these groups. So that was the reason that a police official gave in regard to why extortion activities are still taking place, and especially at this level. Now I call it very interesting because this same opinion was expressed by a police officer in Dimapur when I went for reporting many years ago in Dimapur. So I went to this police officer in regard to one of the law and order reports that I was supposed to write. So we were talking, and the police officer, who is now posted to Kohima Police Headquarters, told this to me. Ceasefire na thagile to extortion bhi na thagibo. And it is amazing how two opinions set almost a decade apart could be the same thing. So just recently the police commissioner said that. He said the same thing because of all this talk going on, because of the ceasefire ground rules, because of all these processes, extortion is continuing. There's so much extortion because there's no one to check these guys. There's no one to check these guys based on the definition of law and order, based on the definition of what is political issue and what is law and order. So the police commissioner pointed out that policing in the districts face a huge challenge from the vague ceasefire ground rules. That's what the police officer said. Nonetheless, Mr. Tetsio said that the district action plan was formulated with realistic objectives of achieving a substantial reduction in extortion and illegal taxation cases with optimum utilization of limited resources at hand. That is basically saying, oh, we don't have that many police department now and work is a lot, but still we'll try to manage with whatever we have. That's what he's saying. Ordinary citizens, ladies and gentlemen, government employees, small businesses, and the business community in general continue to cry out to the government to do something in this regard. Like I said, extortion was not something we heard about 20-30 years ago, even during my father's time, because those days, out of sympathy and support to the cause of the Naga national movement, if the underground cadres emerged from their villages, from the jungles into our villages, then it was a duty, a brotherly responsibility for us to give them food, give them water, give them shelter, and take care of their needs until they pass along to wherever they are going. So it was hospitality for us that we gave them, but eventually, slowly it became something that was imposed on the people. Like, oh, if you don't have money, if you don't have a job, if you don't have money, if you don't have livelihood, from where are you going to pay your taxes? From where are you going to give this money to all these random people? And how many groups do we have now? 19, 20 groups, I don't know. The more we delay in our action, the deeper the problem for Nagaland goes. I assure you, this will one day blow up with irreparable cost to the Naga people, ladies and gentlemen. Recently, the Nagaland police also launched an app that purportedly will help in combating extortion in Nagaland. You can check out the explainer HornbillTV had in this regard. Check out our YouTube and Insta videos. The problem of extortion is compounded by the number of Naga national organizations and just too many unions and associations for this or that reason. And most of these have monetary and financial interests. How many nationalist organizations do we have now? 15, 19? I saw a post on Twitter just a little while ago. I think there were about 19 or 20 of them listed out. How many public organizations do we have now? 19,000? I do not want to insult your intelligence by saying what you already know, ladies and gentlemen, but let me remind you this. Grass grows only where there is no sickle. And if we don't do something, if the authorities don't do something, then I think the people are going to pay a dear price. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Al Nguli. See you next time.